what comes to mind, the image that comes to mind, it's almost like a graph of there's a line, the y-axis or x-axis is talent, y-axis is distraction, whatever you
Right.
want to call it. And it's like there has to be a point where those two lines meet where it's acceptable, and anything beyond that on the distraction side, quote unquote, becomes unacceptable in the realm of the NFL.
But what's so funny about that though is that, we're talking about, let's say all the rumors are true that Shedeur in these interviews was completely obnoxious. We're talking like Carlton Banks from Fresh Prince levels of obnoxious,
Like all
right?
the memes of him, insulting them, walking in with, 100 pounds of chains on and all
Yes,
that stuff.
let's
Yeah.
assume all of that is true. How is any of that more offensive than, let's say, the teams that have, gentlemen who've been accused of like domestic violence? How is any of that more offensive than gentlemen who've been accused of sexual assault or like, racism and homophobia and all these things? How is this kid just being like a Richie Rich kind of kid more offensive than any of those things that are like some of which are like actual crimes? This is the problem that I have with sort of like the moral inconsistency that the NFL often demonstrates. We're like, oh, he doesn't fit. He's not a part of the culture. Like, how is it okay for this person who's like, driven drunk or whatever the case may be? Like, they're good for the team. Like, like make it make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't hold up to any level of scrutiny. I think that logic, at least. I mean, if you're just talking football and the culture of football, the almost, militaristic culture of
Right.
everyone needs to fall in line, and we can accept your, I don't know what you want to call them, off-field indiscretions,
Yeah.
which is, I think, maybe that's a bigger conversation about being a man and masculinity in America and what's
Totally.
acceptable among men and what's not. But that's a whole other podcast. I think that's
Absolutely.
probably far beyond our scope.